Psychology of Death Row, The Cage of Time. Part 1, The Architecture of Silence. Chapter 1, The Transition. They took my watch on the first day. I remember that more clearly than the verdict, more clearly than the judge's face, that pale, moon-shaped thing with its small mouth and smaller eyes, more clearly than the sound of the gavel, that final crack of wood against wood that sent me here. I remember the guard's thick fingers, the smell of his breath, stale coffee and something older, something like decay, and the way the leather band of my watch felt as it slid off my wrist. It was warm. It had been against my skin for 7 years. My mother gave it to me for my 21st birthday. I remember thinking she'll never give me anything again. And then the guard dropped it into a plastic bag, and I heard the click of the zipper, and I knew. Time had become something else, something I would no longer own. That was 22 years ago. I have been counting the bricks in my wall for 22 years. I know exactly how many there are. I will tell you because telling you is the only thing I have left to do. There are 972 of them. I have counted them in every possible sequence, top to bottom, bottom to top, left to right, right to left, by the pattern of their cracks, by the subtle variations in their gray. Some are darker, stained with moisture that seeps through the concrete from somewhere deep in the earth. Some are lighter, almost white, as if they have been bleached by a sun that will never touch them. I have given them names. I have done this because I am a man who has been buried alive, and when you are buried alive, you name the things that surround you. It is how you stay sane. It is how you stay human. This one, the one just above the sink, I call Marcus. He is the philosopher. He has a crack that runs diagonally across his face, and when the light hits it just right, it looks like a frown. He reminds me of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who wrote about accepting what you cannot change. I spent a year with Marcus Aurelius. I read his meditations so many times that the pages fell out of the binding, and I had to hold them together with my hands. He taught me that I have power over my mind, not outside events. He taught me that I can choose to be broken or whole. I chose whole. I chose to survive. This one, on the wall opposite my bed, I call the Screamer. He has a stain that looks like a mouth, open wide in a silent howl. I don't know what the stain is. Blood, maybe, or rust, or just the slow decay of the building itself. But I see it every night when the light goes out and the shadows play tricks on my eyes. I see it screaming. And I think, that's me, that's the part of me that will never stop screaming. The rest of them have names too. The watcher, the mother, the child, the judge. I have named every brick. And I talk to them. I talk to them because there is no one else to talk to. The guards don't speak to me unless they have to. The other prisoners are on the other side of walls I cannot see through. The visitors stopped coming years ago. I am alone. I am always alone. And so I talk to the bricks and they listen, and sometimes I imagine they answer. They say, "You are still here. You are still alive." That is enough. The trial was noise. I want to tell you about the trial because it is important to understand how I got here, how any of us get here. But the trial is also a blur, a smear of memory I cannot fully trust. I remember the courtroom was cold. Not the kind of cold that makes you shiver, but the kind that settles into your bones and stays there. The kind that tells you, you are not welcome here. You are not human. You are something else, something to be examined and judged and disposed of. I remember the suits. Everyone wore suits. The prosecutor, a thin man with a face like a weasel, pointed at me with a trembling finger. He called me a monster, a predator, a stain on the fabric of society. His voice rose and fell like a sermon, and the jury listened with their faces frozen in masks of righteous anger. They had already decided. I could see it in their eyes. They had decided the moment they walked into the courtroom, the moment they saw my face, the moment they heard the charges. I was guilty. Of course I was guilty. The question was not guilt. The question was what to do with me. My lawyer, a sweating man with a cheap tie and a nervous twitch, whispered assurances I knew were lies. "We have a chance," he said. "We can appeal. We can get a mistrial. We can—" I stopped listening. I had stopped listening long before. I knew the truth. The truth was that I had done it. I had done everything they said I did, and I was going to pay for it. The only question was, how much? The families sat in the front row, the victims' families. I could not look at them. I could not look at their faces, because their faces were the faces of the people I had destroyed. The mother, the father, the children. They were gone, and these people were the living reminders of what I had taken from the world. I could not look at them. I could not bear it. I looked at the floor, at the cracks in the linoleum, at the dust that had settled in the corners. I counted the tiles. There were 147 of them. I counted them 3 times during the trial. I counted them because I could not look at the faces. I counted them because I was a coward. The verdict came on a Thursday. I remember because it was raining. The windows of the courtroom were streaked with water, and the light outside was gray and heavy, like the sky itself was grieving. The jury filed in. They did not look at me. They looked at the judge, at the families, at the floor. They handed a piece of paper to the bailiff, and the bailiff handed it to the judge, and the judge read it aloud. I don't remember the words. I remember the sound of the words, the flat, emotionless tone of the judge's voice, and I remember the screams from the families, screams of relief, screams of grief, screams that said, "Finally, finally, justice." I did not scream. I did not cry. I did nothing. I just sat there in my suit, the suit I had worn to my mother's funeral, which now seemed like a grotesque joke, and I waited for the guards to come and take me away. They came. They always come. They led me out of the courtroom, past the cameras, past the reporters, past the families who wanted to kill me with their eyes. I walked. I walked because that was all I could do. And then I was here, in this cell, in this box, in this tomb of concrete and silence. The first night was the worst. I remember sitting on the edge of the concrete slab they call a bed, and I remember thinking, this is it. This is where I will die. Not tomorrow, not next week, not even next year, but someday. Someday I will die in this box, and no one will remember me except the families who will celebrate my death. I sat there for hours, waiting for something to happen, waiting for the walls to close in, waiting for the floor to open up and swallow me, waiting for the end. But the end did not come. The end never comes. The end is always just out of reach, always just beyond the next day, the next hour, the next breath. The end is a promise that is never quite kept. And so I sat there, and I waited, and I counted the bricks, and I listened to the silence. The silence was not quiet. That is the first thing you learn about silence. It is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of something else, something pressing, something heavy, something that fills your ears and your mind and your soul until you cannot hear anything else. The silence in my cell was not quiet. It was loud. It was the sound of my own heartbeat, thudding against my ribs like a caged animal. It was the sound of my own breathing, shallow and rapid like the breathing of a man who is drowning. It was the sound of the sink in the cell, 2 doors down, dripping in a rhythm I would come to know as intimately as my own pulse. I counted the drips. I counted them because I had nothing else to count. I counted them until I lost count. And then I started again. Drip, 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 1,000 drips, 2,000, 10,000. I counted them until my ears rang with the effort of listening. I counted them until I could hear nothing else. And still they continued. The drip, the drip. The endless, maddening drip. I pressed my palm to my chest and felt my heart beat. Thump, thump, thump. It was slower than I expected, slower than it had been in the courtroom, in the van, in the processing center. It was the heartbeat of a man who has accepted his fate. It was the heartbeat of a man who is waiting to die. I thought about the man I used to be, the man who walked free, the man who had a job, a girlfriend, a life. That man lived in a world of cause and effect. He acted. Things happened. He wanted. He took. He was a predator, and he did not know it. Or perhaps he did know it. Perhaps he knew it all along, and he simply did not care. That man had no concept of silence. That man was always moving, always hunting, always filling the void with noise. He was afraid of the silence. He was afraid of what he might find in it. Now the silence has swallowed him whole. I am what is left, a pale, thin thing in a canvas shirt, counting bricks and listening to the wet thump of his own failing heart. I am not the man I was. I am something else, something less, something more. I am a ghost haunting my own body. I am a prisoner trapped in my own mind. I am a man who has done terrible things and who is now paying for them in the only currency that matters: time. Endless, meaningless, unrelenting time. I have been here for 22 years, 22 years of silence, 22 years of solitude, 22 years of counting bricks and dripping sinks and beating hearts. I have learned things in that time. I have learned things I never could have learned in the outside world. I have learned what it means to be alone. I have learned what it means to be human. I have learned what it means to be a monster. And I have learned that the monster is not the man who committed the crime. The monster is the man who cannot face what he has done. The monster is the man who cannot change. The monster is the man who will not look at himself in the mirror. I am not that man anymore. I have looked at myself in the mirror. I have looked at myself in the drip of the sink, in the crack of the brick, in the flicker of the fluorescent light. I have seen myself, and I have begun to understand. But understanding is not the same as forgiveness. Understanding is not the same as redemption. Understanding is just the beginning. The rest is yet to come. Let me tell you about the cell. It is 6 feet wide and 9 feet long. I know this because I measured it with my footsteps, one step at a time, back and forth, until I had memorized the dimensions. 6 feet by 9 feet, 54 square feet. Smaller than most closets, smaller than the bathroom in the house I grew up in. 54 square feet, and I have lived in it for 22 years. The walls are concrete, gray, unyielding. They are the same walls I have stared at for thousands of nights. They are the same walls I have talked to, prayed to, cursed at. They are the walls that contain me. They are the walls that define me. I am the man in the box, and the box is all I have. There is a bed, a concrete slab covered by a thin mattress that smells of sweat and mildew. I sleep on it every night, curled in a fetal position, my back to the wall. Sometimes I dream, sometimes I do not. Sometimes I wake in the middle of the night, gasping, convinced that I am dying. But I am not dying, I am just living. Living in this box, day after day, year after year. There is a sink. Small metal basin with a single faucet that drips. I have tried to fix the drip. I have wrapped cloth around the spigot. I have turned the handle as tight as it will go. Nothing works. The drip continues, relentless and maddening. I have learned to live with it. I have learned to find comfort in it. It is the only sound that never stops. It is the only thing that is always with me. There is a toilet. A stainless steel bowl with no seat. It is cold and uncomfortable, but it serves its purpose. I use it when I need to. I clean it with a rag and a bucket of water. I keep it clean because it is the only thing I can control. The rest of my life is chaos. The rest of my life is waiting. But the toilet is clean, the toilet is mine. There is a light, a fluorescent tube in a metal casing bolted to the ceiling. It hums in B-flat minor, I am certain of this, and it flickers every 17 seconds. I have timed it. 17 seconds. Sometimes it goes out. Sometimes it goes out for hours, days, weeks, and I am left in the dark. The dark is worse than the light. The dark is when the shadows come. The dark is when the memories come. The dark is when I am most afraid. There is a door, a heavy metal door with a slot at the bottom for food trays and a window at the top for the guards to look through. The door is my only connection to the outside world. Through the slot, food comes. Through the window, faces come. The guards, the visitors, the people who have come to see the monster in his cage. I have learned to read their expressions. Pity, fear, disgust, sometimes curiosity. Never kindness, never understanding. They come to see me and they leave shaking their heads, and I am alone again. There is nothing else. No books, no television, no radio, no pictures on the wall, no personal effects. Just me, the bricks, the sink, the toilet, the light and the door. That is all I have. That is all I've had for 22 years. And yet I have made it a home. I have made it a palace, not in the physical world, but in my mind. I have built a world inside my head, a world of rooms and gardens and memories. I have filled it with the people I have known, the places I have been, the things I have loved. It is my escape. It is my salvation. It is the only thing that keeps me sane. I will tell you about the palace. I will tell you about everything. But first, I need you to understand the silence. I need you to understand what it is like to be alone with your thoughts for 22 years. I need you to understand the weight of it, the pressure, the crushing, endless, maddening weight of a mind that has nothing to do but think. Think about what I have done. Think about the lives I took. Think about the families I destroyed. Think about the man I was and the man I have become. Think about everything. That is what I do. That is all I do. I think and I think and I think, and I cannot stop. This is my punishment. This is my sentence. Not the death that awaits me. Not the needle or the chair or the table. This, the silence, the solitude, the endless, unrelenting, inescapable thought. This is what I am. This is what I have become. And now I am going to tell you my story. All of it. From the beginning to the end. From the crime to the trial to the cell. From the man I was to the man I am. I am going to tell you everything. Because telling you is the only thing I have left. Chapter 2. The Catalogue of the Bay. When you have nothing else, you have your body. It is the only terrain left to explore. The only landscape that is truly yours. I have spent years cataloging mine. I know it with an intimacy that borders on obsession. I know every scar, every ache, every twitch. I know the color of my blood, the sound of my breath, the rhythm of my heart. I know my body better than I ever knew the bodies of my victims. That is the irony. I destroyed the bodies of others, and now I am left with only my own. Let me show you. My hands. Look at them. They are pale, almost translucent, like the belly of a fish that has never seen the sun. The skin is thin and fragile, crisscrossed with veins that are visible through the surface. The nails are short and ragged, bitten down to the quick. I bite them when I am nervous. I am always nervous. I have been nervous for 22 years. There is a scar on my right knuckle, a pale crescent, barely visible now, but I know it is there. I know it because I have looked at it 1,000 times. I have traced it with my finger. I have pressed it to see if it still hurts. It does not. It has not hurt for years. That scar is from the crime. I remember the sensation, the sharp pop of cartilage, the wet heat of blood, the way his jaw gave way under my fist. He was the father of the family I destroyed. He stood up from his chair when I broke through the door. He tried to protect his wife and children, and he was a brave man, braver than me. And I broke his jaw. I broke his jaw, and then I broke his skull, and then I broke his life. I don't remember his face. That is the strangest part. I remember the sound of his jaw breaking. I remember the way his body went slack. I remember the feel of his blood on my hands. But his face is a blur, a smear of features I can no longer reconstruct. I have tried to remember it. I have tried to see it in my mind's eye. But it is gone. It is as if he never existed. As if I killed a ghost. My hands have other scars. Calluses from the years I worked construction, swinging a hammer until my arms ached and my back screamed. A small burn on my palm from a hot pan. A cut on my thumb from a broken bottle. They are the marks of a life lived. A life I no longer have. I look at my hands and I see the map of my life. The moments of labor, of pain, of violence. They are all here, written in the lines of my palms. I cannot read them. I cannot understand them. They are just marks, just scars, just remnants of a past I cannot change. My arms, they are thin now. The muscles have atrophied from years of disuse. I do push-ups every morning, 300 of them, but it is not enough. My arms are weak. They are the arms of an old man, a man who has given up. They are not the arms of the predator I once was. They are not the arms that held the knife, that strangled the boy, that suffocated the girl. I remember those arms. They were strong. They were powerful. They could do anything. I could lift a man twice my weight and throw him against the wall. I could break bones, crush skulls, end lives. I was a machine, and my arms were the engine of my destruction. Now they are nothing. They are sticks, held together by skin and bone. They shake when I raise them. They tremble when I try to lift something heavy. They are the arms of a man who has been broken. My chest, it is scarred. Not from violence, but from the years of lying on this concrete slab. The skin is rough and calloused, rubbed raw by the friction of the mattress. I have a rash that comes and goes, a persistent itch that I cannot scratch. I have learned to ignore it. I have learned to ignore everything. My heart, it is still beating. I can feel it thudding against my ribs, slow and steady. Thump, thump, thump. It is the only thing that keeps me alive. It is the only thing that reminds me I am human. I press my hand to my chest and I feel it. I feel the rhythm. I feel the life. And I think, this is all I have. This is all I am. My lungs, they are still breathing, in and out, the rhythm of life. I have learned to control my breath. I have learned to slow it down, to calm it, to make it steady. It is a form of meditation, a way of focusing my mind. I breathe and I think and I wait. My legs, they are weak. They are the legs of a man who has not walked in years. I pace my cell in a figure-8 pattern. 18 steps one way, 18 steps back. I have worn a groove into the floor, a pale path that traces my daily pilgrimage to nowhere. The guards watch me through the slot in the door. They think I am going mad. Maybe I am. But the pacing keeps me anchored. It reminds me that I am still here, still moving, still alive. My eyes, they are fading. I have been in this cell for 22 years and the light has damaged my vision. The fluorescent tube hums in B-flat minor, and it flickers every 17 seconds, and it is slowly destroying my eyes. I have started to see floaters, small black spots that drift across my vision. I try to catch them. I try to focus on them, but they are always just out of reach. They are like my memories, fleeting, elusive, gone before I can hold on to them. My ears, they are still sharp. I can hear the drip of the sink from 2 cells down. I can hear the shuffle of the guard's footsteps. I can hear the faint hum of the ventilation system, the distant clang of a closing door, the muffled screams of other prisoners. I hear everything. I hear too much. Sometimes I wish I could turn off my ears. I wish I could silence the world. My skin. It is pale, almost translucent. I have not felt the sun in 22 years. I have not felt the wind, the rain, the warmth of another human being. My skin is the skin of a ghost. It is the skin of a man who has been buried alive. I catalog these things because I have nothing else to catalog. My possessions are few: a toothbrush, a cup, a photograph of my mother that is now so worn the image has faded to a ghost. The rest is gone. The rest has been taken from me. My body is the only thing that is truly mine, and even that is slipping away. I am 47 years old. I have been on death row for 22 years. I have been waiting to die for longer than I have ever lived. My body is decaying. My mind is decaying. Everything is decaying. Everything is falling apart. But I am still here. I am still breathing. I am still thinking. I am still fighting. And that is something. That is everything. I have developed a routine. It is the only thing that keeps me from dissolving entirely. I wake at 6 a.m. when the light flickers on. I do not sleep well. I have not slept well in years. The dreams come too often, the nightmares too vivid. But I wake and I sit up and I stretch. My joints crack, my muscles ache. I am old before my time. I do my push-ups, 300 of them. I do them slowly, deliberately, counting each one in a whisper. 1, 2, 3. The concrete floor scrapes my knuckles raw. I do not feel the pain anymore. Pain is just another sensation to be catalogued, filed away, forgotten. I pace, 18 steps one way, 18 steps back. I pace until my legs ache and my feet are raw. I pace because I have to. I pace because it is the only exercise I have. I eat. The tray slides through the slot at 7 a.m. Oatmeal, toast, a cup of coffee that tastes like mud. I eat slowly, savoring each bite. The food is not good. It is not even adequate. But it is sustenance. It is what keeps me alive. I read. When I have a book, I read it. I read it until the pages fall out and the words blur. I have read books I never would have read on the outside. Philosophy, history, poetry. I have read the great thinkers, the great poets, the great madmen. They have become my companions. They have become my friends. I write. When I have paper, I write. I write about the cell. I write about the crime. I write about my dreams. I write to stay sane. I write to stay human. I sleep. When the light goes out at 10 p.m., I lie down on my cot. I close my eyes. I wait for sleep to come. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does not. Sometimes I lie awake for hours, staring at the darkness, listening to the drip of the sink. This is my life, day after day, year after year. The same routine, the same cell, the same silence. And yet, there are moments when I break free, moments when I transcend the box, moments when I am not a prisoner, not a monster, not a man waiting to die. I am something else, something greater. I am a philosopher, I am a poet. I am a soul in search of meaning. I have found meaning in the silence. I have found meaning in the solitude. I have found meaning in the endless, unrelenting thought. I am not the man I was. I am not the monster they think I am. I am something else, something I am still trying to understand. And I will keep trying. I will keep thinking. I will keep writing. Because that is all I have. That is all I am. Chapter 3. The Rehearsal. I try to remember the crime. I try to be the man who did it. I try to inhabit him, to feel what he felt, to think what he thought. But he is a stranger to me now. A ghost I cannot inhabit. A shadow I cannot touch. I have reconstructed the night 1,000 times. 1,000 times I have walked through that door, felt the adrenaline surge through my veins, heard the scream that followed. But each time the details are different. The sequence shifts. The faces blur. I cannot trust my own memory, and that is the most terrifying realization of all. The facts are these. I broke into a house in the suburbs, a family of 4. Father, mother, 2 children, a boy of 8, a girl of 5. I was high on methamphetamine and rage. I had lost my job. I had lost my girlfriend. I had lost any semblance of control over my life. I needed money. I needed to feel powerful. I needed to destroy something, and that family was in my way. I remember the door giving way under my shoulder, the crack of wood, the splintering of the lock. I remember the father rising from his chair, his face a mask of confusion and fear. I remember hitting him. Once, twice, 3 times. I remember the sound of his skull against the floor, and then I remember nothing. A black void, a gap in the tape of my memory where the rest of it should be. I don't remember the mother. I don't remember the children. I don't remember the blood, the screams, the terror. It is all gone. Erased, as if it never happened. The police report fills in the blanks. The mother stabbed 14 times, the boy strangled with a lamp cord, the girl suffocated with a pillow. The details are clinical, antiseptic, almost boring, but I know what they mean. I know the terror that must have filled that house. I know the sounds, the smells, the taste of fear in the air. I know it because I created it. And yet, I cannot remember it. I have tried, God knows I have tried. I have spent hours, days, years trying to reconstruct the night. I have closed my eyes and walked through the door 1,000 times. I have tried to feel the knife in my hand. I have tried to hear the screams. But it is all blank, all empty, all gone. The man who did those things is a stranger to me. When I try to inhabit him, I feel nothing, no remorse, no satisfaction, no guilt, just a vast empty space where the emotion should be. It is as if I am reading about someone else's life, someone else's crimes. I am a spectator at my own execution. I have read about dissociative states. I have read about trauma, about the way the mind protects itself by erasing the worst moments. I have read about the criminals who cannot remember their crimes because the crimes were too terrible to bear. I am one of them. I am one of the ones who has been broken by his own actions. But that does not let me off the hook. It does not absolve me. It does not change what I did. I killed 4 people. I destroyed a family. I snuffed out 4 lives, and I cannot remember doing it. That is not an excuse. That is just a fact. A fact I have to live with. Sometimes I think this is the worst punishment of all. Not the confinement, not the waiting, but the alienation. I am a man without a past because my past belongs to someone I no longer recognize. I am a man without a future because my future is a date with a needle. I am a man without a present because the present is a box of concrete and silence. I am nothing. I am the space between breaths. I am the pause between heartbeats. I am the silence that follows a scream. I try to find the moment I changed, the precise point where I ceased to be a man and became a monster. I dig through my memories like a man digging through rubble, looking for a body. But there is no body. There is only the rubble itself, a mountain of broken moments that never quite add up to a coherent story. Was it when I lost my job? When I was 28, working as a laborer on a construction site? I had been there for 5 years. I was good at my job. I worked hard. I never complained. And then the foreman called me into his office and told me I was being laid off. The economy was bad. They had to let people go. It wasn't personal, but it was personal. It was always personal. I walked out of that office and I wanted to kill someone. I wanted to wrap my hands around the foreman's throat and squeeze until his eyes popped out. I didn't do it. I walked away. But the rage stayed with me. It festered. It grew. It became a part of me. Was it when my girlfriend left me? I was 30. Her name was Rachel. She was beautiful, with long dark hair and a smile that could light up a room. I thought I loved her. I thought she loved me. But she left me for another man. A better man. A man with a job, a future, a life. I was nothing. I was a nobody. And I hated her for it. I didn't kill her. I didn't even hurt her. But I fantasized about it. I lay awake at night, imagining all the ways I could make her suffer. It was a sickness, a poison in my soul. And I did nothing to stop it. Was it when my mother died? She was 62. She had been sick for years, but her death was still a shock. She was the only person who had ever loved me. She was the only person who had ever believed in me. And when she died, something inside me died too. The last shred of decency, the last whisper of hope. I was alone, truly alone, and I did not care anymore. I think about these moments. I turn them over in my mind. I examine them from every angle, looking for the seed of the monster I would become, but I cannot find it. The monster was always there. It was always a part of me. It just took the right circumstances to bring it out. I was a predator. I was born a predator. The world made me that way, or I made myself that way, or it was just the roll of the dice. I don't know. I will never know. All I know is that I was capable of terrible things, and one night I did them. I think about the victims. I do not know their names. I do not want to know their names. If I knew their names, they would become real to me. They would become people, not just symbols. And I cannot bear that. I cannot bear the weight of their humanity. But I do think about them. I think about what they must have felt. The terror, the confusion, the pain. I think about the father rising from his chair to protect his family. I think about the mother screaming for her children. I think about the boy, his small hands reaching out for help that would never come. I think about the girl suffocating beneath a pillow, her last breath a whimper. I think about them all the time. They are with me in the silence of my cell. They are with me in the drip of the sink, in the flicker of the light, and in the shadows that dance on the walls. They are with me always. I do not know if I am sorry. I feel sorry. I feel a crushing weight of remorse that threatens to suffocate me. But is that the same as being sorry? Is it the same as regretting what I did? I don't know. I don't know if I can regret something I cannot remember. I don't know if I can mourn people I never knew. But I try. I try every day. I try to honor them in the only way I can. By remembering, by thinking, by carrying their weight. I have built a memorial in my mind, a room in the palace. It is filled with candles, one for each victim. I sit in that room and I say their names. I say the names I have given them. The father, the mother, the boy, the girl. I light their candles. I watch them burn. I honor them. I hope they know. I hope they understand. I hope they have found peace. Because I have not. I will never find peace, not in this life, not in this cell, not in this endless, unrelenting silence. Chapter 4. The Language of the Cell. A cell has its own grammar. I have learned to speak it fluently. The fluorescent light is the first word. It hums in B-flat minor, a constant drone that I hear even when I am not listening. It flickers every 17 seconds, and each flicker is a punctuation mark in the long, run-on sentence of my days. When the light goes out at 10 p.m., it is a period. The sentence is over, but the paragraph continues in the dark. The sink is the second word. It drips. Drip, drip, drip. Each drop is a syllable, a sound that marks the passage of time. I have learned to count the drops. I have learned to read the rhythm. When the drip speeds up, I know the pressure is changing. When it slows down, I know the temperature is dropping. The drip is a language, and I am fluent in it. The toilet is the third word. It flushes with a roar that shakes the walls. It is the only loud noise in my cell, the only moment of chaos in an otherwise silent world. I have learned to time my flushes. I flush when the guard is passing, so he does not hear the sound. I flush when I am eating, so the noise does not disturb me. The toilet is a tool, a weapon, a way of asserting control over my environment. The door is the fourth word. It opens with a groan, a sound that makes my heart skip a beat. Every time the door opens, it could be the executioner. Every time the door opens, it could be the end. I have learned to brace myself. I have learned to accept whatever comes, but I still flinch. I still tremble. I am still afraid. The guards have their own vocabulary. Heavy Bob walks with a shuffle, his keys jangling like a warning. Light-footed Maria tiptoes past my door as if I might hear her and wake from some evil dream. The one with the jangling keys, I call him the jester. He talks to himself in a low murmur, a constant stream of nonsense that I strain to decipher. Sometimes I catch a word: wife, money, dead. I wonder if he is practicing for his own crime, his own day in court. The food tray is a declaration. The metal slot slides open with a grating scrape, and the tray appears like an offering to a vengeful god. I have learned to identify the meal by the sound it makes. A wet slap means oatmeal or mashed potatoes. A rattle means something with bones, perhaps chicken. A silence followed by a soft thud means bread. I have learned to eat slowly, savoring each bite because the meal is the only event in my day, the only thing that breaks the monotony. I chew each mouthful 32 times. It is a ritual. It is a prayer. The tray itself is a message. When it arrives with a clatter, I know the guard is in a hurry. When it slides in quietly, I know he is tired, distracted, perhaps sad. When it comes late, I know something is wrong. The tray tells me more about the world outside than any visitor ever could. I read the tray like a newspaper. I decode its secrets. I understand its language. The slot is another word. It is the mouth of my cell, the only opening through which the world can speak to me. Through the slot, food comes. Through the slot, letters come, or used to before the letters stopped. Through the slot, the guard's eyes appear, watching me, judging me, measuring me. Through the slot, my life is fed to me, one small piece at a time. I have learned to speak through the slot. When the guard is near, I whisper. I ask for books, I ask for paper, I ask for news of the outside world. Sometimes they answer, sometimes they do not, sometimes they just grunt and move on. But I keep asking, I keep speaking, I keep trying to make contact with the world beyond this box. The window is the most dangerous word. It is the eye of my cell, the place where the outside world can see me. Through the window, the guards watch me. Through the window, the visitors see me. Through the window, I am exposed. I am naked. I am vulnerable. I have learned to control what they see. I sit still when they watch. I do not pace. I do not talk to the walls. I do not cry. I present myself as calm, collected, in control. I do not let them see the chaos inside me. I do not let them see the monster. But the window sees everything. The window knows the truth. The window is the eye of God, and God is always watching. I have learned to write in the language of the cell. My pencil is a noun. The scrap of paper they give me is a verb. Together they create sentences. I write in tiny, cramped letters, using as little space as possible, because I never know when they will take the paper away. I write about the light. I write about the sink. I write about the dreams I have in the small hours of the morning, dreams in which I am free, walking through a park. And the horror is that I know I will wake up. I write about the past. I write about the crime. I write about the trial. I write about the faces I have seen and the faces I have forgotten. I write to remember. I write to forget. I write to understand. I write about the future that does not exist, the future that is a void, a nothingness, a blank page waiting to be filled. I write about the needle. I write about the gurney. I write about the final moment when the drugs flow into my veins and the light goes out. I write about death. I write to stay sane. I write to stay human. I write because writing is the only thing that makes sense. Sometimes I write letters. Letters I will never send. Letters to the families. Letters to my mother. Letters to the man I used to be. I pour my soul onto the page. I confess everything. I apologize. I plead. And then I tear the letter up and throw it away. Because the letters are not for them. They are for me. They are my confession, my penance, my prayer. The guards have found my letters. They have read them. They have confiscated them. They think I am dangerous. They think I am plotting something. But I am not plotting anything. I am just writing, just thinking, just trying to survive. I have learned to hide my writing. I have learned to write in code. I have learned to write in my head, composing paragraphs and chapters that no one will ever read. They exist only in my mind, in the palace I have built, and they are safer there than they ever could be on paper. I have written a book in my head, a long book, a book about everything, about the cell, about the crime, about the years of silence and thought. I have written it 1,000 times, editing and revising, perfecting every word. It is my masterpiece, it is my legacy, and no one will ever read it. But I am writing it now. I am writing it for you, for whoever you are. For whoever is reading this, I am writing it because I need to tell someone. I need to be heard. I need to be understood. I know you may not understand. I know you may judge me. I know you may hate me. But I am telling you anyway, because telling you is all I have. The language of the cell is not just words. It is also silence. The pauses between the words, the gaps in the conversation, the spaces where meaning resides. I have learned to read the silence. I have learned to understand what it means. The silence of the guards, the silence of the other prisoners, the silence of the walls. They all speak to me. They all tell me things. The silence of the morning is different from the silence of the night. The morning silence is expectant. It is waiting. It is the silence of a held breath, of a moment suspended in time. The night silence is heavy. It is the silence of a closing door, of a light that has gone out. It is the silence of endings. The silence of the guards is the most telling. When they are quiet, I know they are watching. When they are quiet, I know they are listening. When they are quiet, I know they are afraid. They are afraid of me. They are afraid of what I might do. They are afraid of the monster they think I am. But I am not a monster, not anymore. I was a monster once. I did terrible things. But that was a long time ago. I have changed. I have grown. I have become something else. The silence of the walls is the most comforting. It is the silence of acceptance. The walls do not judge me. They do not fear me. They do not hate me. They just are. They are there, solid and unchanging, and they hold me. They contain me. They keep me safe. I have learned to listen to the silence. I have learned to hear what it is saying. It is saying, you are not alone. You have never been alone. The silence is with you. The silence will always be with you. And that is enough. That is more than enough. I have learned to speak the language of the cell. I have learned to read its grammar, to understand its syntax, to decode its meaning. I am fluent in the language of the box. But I have also learned another language, a language beyond words, a language of thought, of feeling, of being. It is the language of the soul, and it is the only language that truly matters. I speak this language in the palace. I speak it in the garden, in the library, in the memorial. I speak it when I am alone, in the silence of my cell, in the darkness of the night. I speak it to myself, to the walls, to the ghosts of the people I have killed. This language has no words, it has no sounds. It is just a feeling, a knowing, a connection to something greater than myself. It is the language of the universe, and I am finally beginning to understand it. I have spent 22 years learning this language, 22 years of silence, solitude, thought, and I am still learning. I will always be learning. Because the language of the soul is infinite, it is endless. It is the language of eternity, and I will speak it until my last breath, until the needle, until the end. Part 2. The Years of the Ghost. Chapter 5. The Visitor. She came to see me. My mother. She came every month for the first 3 years, and then she stopped. I didn't blame her. It must have been hard sitting across from the thing her son had become. I remember the first visit. I was still in the county jail, waiting for the trial. I was still wearing my suit, the suit I had worn to her funeral, the suit I would wear to my own. She sat across from me, on the other side of the glass, and she held the phone to her ear with trembling hands. Her eyes were red. Her face was pale. She looked like she had aged 20 years in the 2 months since I had been arrested. "Elias," she said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "What have you done?" I didn't answer. I couldn't answer. What could I say? What could I possibly say to make it better? There was nothing. There was only the truth. And the truth was too terrible to speak. She asked if I was eating. She asked if I was sleeping. She asked if I was praying. The questions were the same as they'd always been, but her voice was different. It was hollow, empty, like the voice of a ghost. "I am praying," I lied. "I am praying every day." She nodded. She believed me. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe she just needed to believe something. Anything. The visits continued. Every month she came. She brought me books. She brought me letters from old friends. She brought me the news from outside, the news I no longer cared about. She tried to be strong. She tried to be hopeful. But I could see the grief in her eyes. The grief of a mother who has lost her son. The trial came. She sat in the courtroom in the front row, next to the victims' families. I don't know why she chose that seat. Perhaps she wanted to show them that she was not on my side. Perhaps she wanted to show them that she understood their pain. Perhaps she just wanted to be close to me, as close as she could get. I couldn't look at her. I couldn't look at her face. Because her face was the face of the woman I had failed, the woman I had disappointed, the woman I had destroyed. The verdict came. Guilty. The sentence came. Death. She screamed, a long, wailing scream that filled the courtroom and echoed in my ears for years. I heard her scream, and I knew I had killed her, not with my hands, but with my actions. I had killed my mother. She came to see me after the trial. She sat across from me on the other side of the glass, and she held the phone to her ear with hands that no longer trembled. They were still. They were steady. They were the hands of a woman who had accepted the worst. "I will never forgive you," she said. "Do you understand me? I will never forgive you for what you have done. You have destroyed everything, everything." I nodded. "I know, I am sorry." "Sorry isn't enough. Sorry will never be enough. You killed people, Elias, real people, people with lives and families and dreams, and you have destroyed them. You have destroyed all of us." I nodded again. There was nothing else I could do. She came to see me one more time, the last visit. She was smaller than I remembered, frail, old. Her hair had turned white and her face was lined with grief. She looked like a woman who had been worn down by years of pain. "I am dying," she said. "The doctors say I don't have much time. I came to say goodbye." I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to beg her to stay. But I did none of those things. I just sat there on the other side of the glass, and I looked at her. I looked at her face. I tried to memorize it. I tried to hold on to it. "I am sorry," I said. "I am so sorry, Mother. I never meant to hurt you." "I know," she said. "I know you didn't, but you did. and I will never understand why." She placed her hand against the glass. I placed mine against hers. We stood there, connected by a pane of glass, separated by a world of pain. "I love you," she said. "I have always loved you, even when I didn't want to, even when I couldn't. I love you." "I love you too," I said. "I have always loved you, and I will always love you, until the end." She died 3 weeks later. I didn't find out until a month after that. The guards didn't tell me. They didn't care. They didn't care about me or my mother or the love we had shared. They just brought me my tray and went about their business. I cried that night. I cried for the first time in years. I cried for my mother. I cried for the victims. I cried for myself. I cried until there were no tears left. And then I sat in the silence, and I listened to the drip of the sink, and I thought about everything I had lost. The priest came next, Father O'Malley, a round man with a soft voice and softer hands. He tried to save my soul. He told me about forgiveness, about redemption, about the infinite mercy of God. I listened politely, nodding at the appropriate moments, but I didn't believe him. How could I? There is no forgiveness for what I did. There is no redemption. There is only the sentence, and the waiting and the silence. Father O'Malley came every week for 2 years. He brought me communion. He brought me prayers. He brought me the Word of God. He talked to me about sin and salvation, about the souls of the dead, about the hope of eternal life. I listened and I nodded, and I said nothing. I think Father O'Malley was more afraid of me than I was of him. He would look at me with those pitying eyes, and I could see the fear behind them. I was a reminder of the darkness that exists in the world, the darkness that even God cannot penetrate. He wanted to save me, but he was afraid to touch me. He was afraid that the darkness might rub off. One day, he stopped coming. I don't know why. Perhaps he was transferred. Perhaps he gave up on me. Perhaps he just couldn't take it anymore. I didn't ask. I didn't care. I was used to being alone. My lawyer came too, a different one each year, each one younger and more desperate than the last. They talked about appeals, about legal technicalities, about the slim chance of a stay. I listened to them with the same polite detachment. I knew the truth. There was no hope. There was only the slow, grinding machinery of the state, and I was caught in its gears. They couldn't save me. They couldn't even save themselves. One of them, a young woman named Sarah, tried to befriend me. She brought me books. She asked about my childhood. She listened to my story. She seemed to care. But I knew it was just a job, just a paycheck, just another way of passing the time. "Elias," she said one day, "I want you to know that I believe in you. I believe you can change. I believe you can be better." I smiled. It was the first time I had smiled in years. "Thank you," I said. "But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter who I become. I am still going to die." She didn't have an answer for that. She just nodded and she left, and she never came back. The visits stopped after a while. My mother died. Father O'Malley stopped coming. The lawyers gave up. I was alone, truly alone, for the first time in my life. And in that aloneness, I found something strange, a kind of peace, a stillness at the center of the storm. I had no one to perform for, no one to impress, no one to lie to. I was just me, and that was enough. I have learned that visitors are a burden. They come with their expectations, their pity, their fear. They want something from me, contrition, explanation, a glimpse of the monster they imagine me to be. I cannot give them what they want. I don't have it to give. So I sit in the silence, alone, and I listen to the drip of the sink, and I wait. That is all I can do. That is all I have left. But I have also learned that visitors are a gift. They are a reminder that I am not completely forgotten, that I am still connected to the world outside this box, that I am still human. I think about the people who have visited me. My mother, Father O'Malley, the lawyers, the reporters, the students who came to study me, to write papers about me, to try to understand the monster I had become. They all came with their expectations, their judgments, their fear. But they came, they were there, they existed, they were real. I have learned to appreciate them, not for what they gave me, but for what they represented. Connection, humanity, the possibility of redemption. I don't believe in redemption. I don't believe I can ever be forgiven. But I believe in connection. I believe that every human being is connected to every other human being, and that connection is sacred. It is holy. It is the only thing that makes life worth living. So I sit in my cell and I think about the people who have come and gone. I think about my mother. I think about Father O'Malley. I think about Sarah, the young lawyer who believed in me. I carry them with me in the palace, in my heart. They are part of me now. They have become part of my story. And I am grateful. I am so grateful. Chapter 6. The Library of One. They let me read. It is the only mercy they grant. A single book at a time from the prison library, chosen by a guard who doesn't care what I read as long as it isn't violent. The irony is not lost on me. I started with pulp fiction, detective novels, westerns, tales of adventure and daring do. I devoured them hungrily, the words a feast after years of starvation. I read about heroes and villains, about justice and revenge, about worlds where good always triumphed and evil was always punished. I escaped into those worlds. I became the heroes. I fought the villains. I won. But after a while, the stories began to taste like ash. They were too simple, too neat. The good guys won, the bad guys lost, and justice was served. I knew better. I knew that justice was a myth, a story we tell ourselves to make the darkness bearable. I moved to philosophy. It was a revelation. For the first time, I found words for the chaos inside me. I read Marcus Aurelius and learned to accept what I cannot change. I read Epictetus and learned the difference between what is in my control and what is not. I read Nietzsche and saw the will to power in all its terrible beauty. I read Dostoevsky and found a kindred spirit in the underground man who rages against the world from his hole in the ground. The books became my companions. They spoke to me in the silence, their voices echoing in my head like ghosts. I would read a passage and stop, turning it over in my mind for hours, days, weeks. I would argue with the author, agreeing and disagreeing, creating a dialogue that spanned centuries. I was no longer alone. I was in the company of the greatest minds in history, and they were teaching me how to live. Even here, even now, even in the shadow of the needle. I spent a year with Marcus Aurelius. I read his meditations so many times that the pages fell out and I had to hold them together with my hands. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. I memorized his words. I recited them to myself in the dark. They became a mantra, a prayer, a lifeline. I told myself that I could not control the sentence, but I could control my response to it. I could choose to be broken or to be whole. I could choose despair or peace. I spent another year with Dostoevsky. He taught me about suffering, about redemption, about the dark recesses of the human soul. He taught me that guilt is not a simple thing, but a labyrinth with no exit. I walked through that labyrinth, stumbling in the dark, and I emerged on the other side. Not forgiven, not redeemed, but at least understanding. I understood that I am not alone in my darkness. I am part of a long, terrible history of men who have done terrible things and who must live with the consequences. I am one of them. I am all of them. I read poetry, too. The poets of the Romantics, the American Transcendentalists, the Existentialists. They spoke to me of beauty, of truth, of the eternal longing of the human soul. I discovered Whitman and wept. I discovered Dickinson and laughed. I discovered Rilke and sat in silence, unable to speak, unable to move, overwhelmed by the power of his words. I read history, the histories of empires, of wars, of genocides. I read about the Holocaust, about the slave trade, about the great purges. I read about the horrors that humans have inflicted on each other throughout the ages, and I realized that I am not unique. I am not special. I am just one more monster in a long line of monsters. But I am also just one more human, fallible and broken, trying to find my way in the dark. I read the Bible. I read the Quran. I read the Bhagavad Gita. I read the sacred texts of the world, searching for meaning, searching for answers. I found some. I found others. I found more questions. But I kept reading. I kept searching, because reading was all I had. The books are gone now. They took them away one by one after I had read them to pieces. The library is closed. The guards don't bring me new books anymore. They think I have read enough. They think I have learned enough. They think I am ready for the end. But the words remain. They are part of me now, woven into the fabric of my mind. I have built a library in my head, a vast cathedral of thought, and I walk through it every day. I visit Marcus Aurelius in his corner, Dostoevsky in his. I sit with Whitman in the garden, with Dickinson in the attic. I talk to them, and they talk to me. They are my teachers, my friends, my salvation. I have learned more in this cell than I ever learned in the outside world. I have learned about the nature of evil, the meaning of life, the fragility of the human soul. I have learned to think, to question, to doubt. I have learned to be humble. I have learned to be grateful. I have learned to be human. And I am grateful for the books. I am grateful for the words. I am grateful for the voices that have kept me company in the silence. I have started to write my own books, not in my head, but on paper. Pages and pages of paper filled with my thoughts, my dreams, my nightmares. I write about the cell. I write about the crime. I write about my mother, my father, the childhood I can barely remember. I write about the guards, the visitors, the other prisoners. I write about everything. I write to understand. I write to remember. I write to forget. I write because I have to. Because the words are inside me, screaming to get out. I have written a book about the palace, a guidebook, really, for the man I want to become. It is filled with instructions and reminders. Be kind, be honest, be present. Don't let the darkness win. I read it every morning when I wake up and every night before I sleep. It is my scripture, my prayer, my way of staying on the path. I have written a book about the victims, their lives, their dreams, the futures they never had. I have written about the father, the mother, the boy, the girl. I have given them names, personalities, histories. I have tried to make them real. I have tried to honor them. I have written a book about forgiveness. A book about the impossibility of forgiveness and the necessity of it. I don't know if I believe in forgiveness. I don't know if I'm capable of forgiving myself. But I write about it anyway. I write because I have to. The guards have found my books. They have confiscated them. They have torn them up and thrown them away. But I don't care. I write them again, and again, and again, because the words are inside me and they will not die. I will keep writing until my last breath, until the needle, until the end, because writing is all I have. Writing is all I am. Chapter 7, The Compartmentalization. The only way to survive is to separate, to divide the mind into compartments, like a ship with watertight doors. One compartment for the past, one for the present, one for the future that will never come, One for the crime, one for the remorse, one for the rage, and one, the smallest and most hidden, for the hope I dare not admit I still have. I wake up every morning and I perform the ritual of compartmentalization. I close the door on the compartment marked the crime. I do not open it. I cannot open it. If I open it, the darkness will flood the rest of the ship and I will drown. I keep it sealed, hidden, buried beneath layers of routine and order. I organize my possessions with obsessive precision. The toothbrush is on the left, the cup on the right, the book at the foot of the bed. The order never changes. It is a small act of control in a world where I have no control. It is a way of saying, this is mine, this is what I choose, this is what I can hold on to. I organize my thoughts the same way. I have a compartment for the morning when I exercise and count the bricks, a compartment for the afternoon when I read and write, a compartment for the evening when I reflect and meditate, and a compartment for the night when I dream. The compartments do not touch each other. They are separate, isolated, sealed against contamination. If I let the thoughts from one compartment bleed into another, I would lose the fragile balance I have built. It took years to learn this skill. In the beginning, I was flooded. The memories came unbidden, sharp and painful, overwhelming my defenses. I would relive the crime in vivid detail, the screams echoing in my head, the blood staining my hands. I would wake in the middle of the night, soaked in sweat, my heart pounding, convinced that I was back in that house. But I learned to control it. I learned to push the memories back, to seal them away, to build walls around them that they could not breach. The hardest compartment is the one marked the remorse. I feel it sometimes in the quiet moments, a weight in my chest, an ache in my gut, a terrible emptiness that spreads through my whole body. It is the knowledge that I have destroyed something precious, something that can never be replaced. It is the face of the children I killed, the mother I stabbed, the father I beat into silence. They are there in that compartment, and I cannot let them out. If I let them out, they will destroy me. So I keep the doors closed. I maintain the compartments. I live my life in the narrow space between them, a narrow corridor of sanity that grows thinner every day. I know that someday the walls will collapse, the flood will come, and I will drown, but not today. Today I am still here. Today I am still whole. I have learned to use the compartments to my advantage. I can open a door when I need to and close it when I don't. I can visit the past without getting lost in it. I can face the future without being overwhelmed by it. I can acknowledge my remorse without being consumed by it. I have learned to compartmentalize my emotions. Anger goes in one box, sorrow in another, fear in a third. I can feel them, but I don't have to act on them. I can acknowledge them, but I don't have to be controlled by them. I am the master of my emotions, not their slave. I have learned to compartmentalize my identity. The man who committed the crime is not the man I am now. The man I am now is not the man who will be executed. They are different, separate, distinct. They exist in different compartments, and they never meet. I know this is a lie. I know I am the same person. The man who committed the crime is the same man who sits in this cell, the same man who will die on that gurney. But I need the lie. I need it to survive. I need it to stay sane. So I compartmentalize. I divide. I separate. I build walls around the parts of myself that I cannot face. And I live in the narrow space between them, the space where I am safe, where I am whole, where I am still human. But the walls are not permanent. They are fragile, like paper. They can be torn down by a memory, a dream, a moment of weakness. I have had moments when the compartments collapsed, when the past flooded into the present, when the remorse overwhelmed me, when I was drowning in the darkness. I remember one night, about 10 years into my sentence. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and I heard a sound. A cry. A child's cry. It was coming from somewhere outside my cell, somewhere in the prison. I don't know if it was real or just a hallucination. I don't know if I heard it or imagined it, but I heard it, and it broke me. I started to cry. Not the quiet tears of a man who is sad, but the racking sobs of a man who is broken. I cried for the children I killed. I cried for the families I destroyed. I cried for myself, for the man I had been, for the man I could never be. I cried until I had no tears left, and then I cried some more. The guards came. They opened the door. They found me on the floor, curled in a ball, sobbing. They didn't say anything. They just stood there watching me, their faces blank. And then they closed the door and walked away. That night I learned the limits of compartmentalization. I learned that the walls are not impenetrable. I learned that the darkness will always find a way in. But I also learned that I can survive it. I can survive the collapse. I can rebuild the walls. I can start again. I have rebuilt the walls many times over the years. Each time they fall, I rebuild them stronger. Each time the darkness floods in, I push it back. I am still here. I am still fighting. I am still alive. Chapter 8. The Apology. I have tried to write it 1,000 times. The apology. The letter I would send to the victims' families if I had the courage. But each time I fail. How do you apologize for something that cannot be undone? How do you ask for forgiveness when you cannot forgive yourself? The words are hollow, empty, meaningless. They bounce off the walls of my cell and come back to me mocking. Dear family, I am sorry for what I did. I cannot imagine the pain I have caused you. I cannot imagine the emptiness in your lives, the void where your loved ones used to be. I am sorry. I am so sorry. I write the words and I read them back, and they are nothing, less than nothing. They are an insult to the grief I have caused. They are a slap in the face of the dead. I crumple the paper and start again. Dear family, there are no words, I know that. I have tried to find them and I cannot. What I did was unspeakable. It was evil. I was evil. I am evil. I don't deserve your forgiveness, and I am not asking for it. I am only asking you to know that I am sorry. I am sorry for the life I took from your children, your spouse, your parents. I am sorry for the years of pain you have endured. I am sorry for everything. I read it back and I feel nothing. The words are dead, corpses on the page. They have no power. They cannot bring back the dead. They cannot heal the wounds. They are just letters, arranged in a certain order, and they mean nothing. I have written 100 drafts. I have written them in my head on scrap paper, on the walls of my cell when I was desperate enough. And every time I fail, because an apology implies that there is something to be repaired, a relationship, a trust, a future. There is nothing to be repaired. There is only the destruction I have left behind. The rubble is all there is. The truth is, I am not apologizing for them. I am apologizing for myself. I want to feel better. I want to ease the weight on my chest, but I cannot. There is no easing. There is only the weight, constant and crushing, and the knowledge that I deserve every ounce of it. I have given up on the apology. I have accepted that I cannot make things right. I cannot undo what I did. I cannot heal the wounds I inflicted. I can only live with the consequences, and that, in its own way, is a form of justice. The pain I feel is nothing compared to theirs. But it is mine. It is all I have. I have learned that remorse is not a cure. It is a symptom. It is the sign that I am still human, still capable of feeling the weight of my actions, and that, perhaps, is the only redemption I can hope for. Not forgiveness, not absolution, just the knowledge that I am not beyond feeling. I am not beyond suffering. I am not beyond the reach of the dead. I think about the victims' families. I think about the daughter, the one who survived. She was hiding in the closet when I killed her family. I didn't know she was there. I didn't see her. But she saw me. She saw my face. She heard the screams. She has lived with that memory for 22 years. I want to write to her. I want to tell her I am sorry. I want to tell her that I think about her every day, that I pray for her, that I hope she has found some peace. But I don't know if she would want to hear from me. I don't know if she would want to hear anything from the man who destroyed her life. So I don't write. I just sit in my cell, and I think about her, and I hope she is okay. I hope she has found a way to live with the darkness. But I have not given up entirely. I still try to write the apology. I still try to find the words. I still try to make sense of the senseless. I have started to write a different kind of letter. Not an apology, but a confession. A record of what I did, why I did it, and how I have changed. I address it to the families. I don't know if I will send it. I don't know if they will read it. But I need to write it. I need to put it down in black and white. I need to own it. The letter is long, hundreds of pages. I write it in my head during the day and commit it to paper in the evenings. It is a chronicle of my life, my crimes, my redemption. It is not pretty. It is not comfortable. But it is true. And the truth is all I have left. I write about my childhood, about my father who was absent, about my mother who was overbearing, about the loneliness I felt, the rage I carried, the darkness that grew inside me like a cancer. I write about the choices I made, the paths I chose, the moments when I could have turned back but didn't. I write about the crime, the night it happened, the door giving way, the father rising, the mother screaming, the children crying. I write about it in detail, in excruciating, unflinching detail. I write about the blood, the terror, the silence that followed. I write about the black void in my memory, the gap where the worst of it belongs. I write about the trial, the verdict, the sentence. I write about the years of waiting, the silence, the thought. I write about the palace, the vision, and the hope I have found in the darkness. I don't know if the letter will ever be read. I don't know if it will ever make a difference. But I need to write it. I need to leave something behind, something that tells the truth about who I am, something that tells the truth about what I have done. I am not a good man. I will never be a good man, but I am a man who is trying. I am a man who is fighting. I am a man who is still alive, even in this box, even in this silence, even in the shadow of the needle. And that is enough. That is all I have. That is all I am. Part 3. The Awakening, Chapter 9, The Nature of Time. Time is different here. It is no longer a river, flowing from past to future, carrying me along on its current. It is a sea, vast and still and endless, and I am adrift on its surface, a solitary boat with no oars, no sail, no destination. The days are not days. They are moments, suspended in amber, waiting to be examined. I have learned to see my life not as a story, but as a map. Every moment I have ever lived is a point on that map, connected by invisible lines to every other moment. I can travel to any point. I can revisit any memory. I can relive any experience. I am a time traveler, trapped in the present moment, free to wander through the past. I spend whole days in the past. I am 6 years old, sitting in a field of wheat, the sun warm on my face. I feel the breeze. I smell the earth. I hear my mother calling me in for dinner. The memory is so vivid, so real, that I forget where I am. I forget the cell. I forget the sentence. I am a child again, innocent and free. And then the memory fades. I am back in the cell, the concrete walls closing in, the hum of the fluorescent light filling my ears. The contrast is jarring. I feel the loss of the memory like a physical wound. I want to go back. I want to stay in that field forever. But I cannot. I am trapped in the present, and the present is a box. I have learned to use time as a tool. I can slow it down or speed it up, depending on my need. When the pain is too much, I speed it up. I let the hours blur into days, the days into weeks, the weeks into years. I skip ahead to the next meal, the next visit, the next moment of distraction. When I need to escape, I slow it down. I stretch a single moment into an eternity. I examine it from every angle, savoring every detail, wringing every drop of meaning from it. The future is the hardest. The future does not exist. There is only the date, the needle, the end. I cannot visit the future because it is not there. It is a void, a nothingness, a blank page waiting to be filled, and I am afraid of it. I am afraid of the blankness and the silence, the end of everything I am. But I have learned to accept it. I have learned to see the future not as a threat, but as a release. The end is coming. It is inevitable. And when it comes, I will be free. Free from the cell. Free from the memories. Free from the weight of my own existence. That is the only hope I have left. The hope of nothing. The hope of silence. I think about the moments I have wasted. The times I was angry, impatient, cruel. The times I rushed through life, not stopping to savor the small things. I think about the sky, the trees, the faces of the people I loved. I took them all for granted, and now they are gone. I am left with nothing but the memories, and they are not enough. I think about the moments I have cherished, the laughter of my mother, the warmth of a summer afternoon, the taste of fresh bread, still hot from the oven, the feeling of being alive, truly alive, connected to something greater than myself. I hold on to those moments. I treasure them. They are the jewels in the crown of my memory. I think about the moments I have regretted, the words I said in anger, the things I did in desperation, the opportunities I let slip away. I cannot change them. I cannot undo them. They are part of me now, part of my map, part of my story. I have learned that time is a gift. It is the only gift I have left. Each moment is precious, fleeting, irreplaceable. And I spend my moments in this box, waiting for the end. It is the cruelest irony. I have all the time in the world, and nothing to do with it but think. And thinking is a kind of prison. A prison within the prison, a cage of words and memories and fears that I cannot escape. But I have also learned that thinking is a kind of freedom. It is the only freedom I have. I can think anything, I can imagine anything, I can create anything. In my mind, I am not a prisoner, I am a king. I am an artist, I am a god. I have built worlds in my mind, worlds of light and color and sound, worlds where I am not a monster, worlds where I am loved, worlds where I am free. I visit these worlds when the cell becomes too much. I escape into them. I live in them. They are more real to me than the concrete walls that surround me. I have learned to live in the present, not the past, not the future, the present, the now, the only moment that exists. I have learned to find peace in the present, to accept it, to embrace it, to be grateful for it. I am not a good man. I will never be a good man. But I am a man who is trying, and that is enough. That is all I have. Chapter 10. The architect I have begun to build, not with bricks, but with thought. A palace in my mind, vast and intricate, filled with rooms for every memory, every idea, every person I have ever known. It is my refuge, my sanctuary, my escape. The palace began as a single room. I was lying on my cot, staring at the ceiling, and I imagined a door. A simple wooden door, painted white with a brass handle. I reached out and opened it, and inside there was a library, a vast room filled with books, the walls lined with shelves that stretched up into the darkness. I walked through it, running my fingers along the spines of the books, and I felt a peace I had not known in years. Over time, I added more rooms, a garden filled with flowers I had never seen. A beach, the waves crashing against the shore, a mountain peak, the wind cold on my face. I filled the palace with the places I had loved, the places I had dreamed of visiting, the places I would never see. It was my world, my creation, my home. The palace is alive. It changes, grows, adapts to my needs. When I am sad, I go to the garden and sit among the flowers. When I am angry, I climb the mountain and scream at the sky. When I am lonely, I visit the library and talk to the ghosts of the authors I have read. They are there in my mind, waiting for me. They are my companions, my friends, my family. Sometimes I invite others into the palace, the guards, the lawyers, the priest. I imagine them walking through the rooms, their faces filled with wonder. I explain the architecture, the design, the meaning of each room. They nod and smile, and I feel a brief moment of connection. But then they are gone. They cannot stay. The palace is mine alone. I have spent years perfecting the palace. Every detail is exact, every room perfect. I know the texture of the walls, the temperature of the air, the sound of the wind in the garden. It is more real to me than the cell. It is my true home, and I am its architect, its guardian, its king. But even the palace has its limits. There are rooms I cannot enter. Rooms marked with signs that read, "Do not enter." They are the rooms of the crime, the rooms of my darkest moments. I have tried to open their doors, but they are locked. The keys are gone. I cannot enter them, and I cannot destroy them. They exist, waiting for the day when I am ready to face them. I wonder if I will ever be ready. I wonder if there is any truth in those rooms that I can bear to see. But for now, I keep them locked. I keep the palace safe. I keep my mind whole. It is all I have. It is all I am. I have learned that the palace is not just an escape. It is a way of understanding, a way of processing, a way of making sense of the senseless. I have built a room for my mother. It is filled with her things, her photographs, her letters, the scent of her perfume. I visit her there and I talk to her. I tell her about my life. I tell her about my regrets. I tell her I love her. She does not answer. She cannot. But I feel her presence. I feel her love. And that is enough. I have built a room for the victims. It is a memorial, a place of remembrance. It is filled with candles, one for each life I took. I sit in that room and I light the candles and I say their names. I say the names I have given them. The father, the mother, the boy, the girl. I honor them. I remember them. I carry them with me. I have built a room for myself. It is the smallest room in the palace, hidden away in a corner. It is a cell within a cell, a prison within a prison. I visit it sometimes when I need to remember who I am. It is dark and cold and empty. It is the room of my guilt, the room of my shame, the room of my regret. But it is also the room of my hope that I can change, my hope that I can be better, my hope that I can find peace. I have built a palace of hope in the middle of a prison of despair, and it is beautiful. It is the most beautiful thing I have ever created. Chapter 11. The Dialogue. I have begun to talk to myself, not in the way of the mad, but in the way of the solitary. I have conversations with the different versions of myself, the child, the adolescent, the predator, the prisoner. They are all here in my mind, and they have much to say. The child is the hardest. He is innocent, trusting, full of wonder. He asks me questions I cannot answer. Why are you here? What did you do? When can I go home? I try to explain, but the words are too big for him. He doesn't understand. He doesn't want to understand. He just wants to go home. And I cannot give him that. I talk to the child. I tell him about the things I have seen, the things I have done. I tell him about the darkness that grew inside me like a cancer. I tell him about the choices I made, the paths I chose, the moments when I could have turned back but didn't. He listens, he nods, he doesn't understand. But he listens. The adolescent is angry. He is the one who hated the world, who wanted to burn it down. He is the one who first tasted violence and found it sweet. He tells me I was weak. I was a coward. I should have fought harder, taken more, left nothing behind. I listen to him and I remember the rage, the burning, all-consuming rage that drove me to destroy. It is still there somewhere, buried beneath the years. I can feel it pulsing like a second heartbeat. I talk to the adolescent. I tell him that rage is not strength. It is weakness. It is fear. It is the death of everything good. He doesn't believe me. He can't. He is too young, too angry, too lost. But I keep talking. I keep trying. I keep reaching out. The predator is silent. He is the one who did the thing, the monster I cannot face. He sits in the corner of my mind, watching me with cold eyes. He does not speak. He does not need to. His presence is enough. He is the truth I cannot escape. I talk to the predator. I ask him why. I ask him how. I ask him if he feels remorse. He does not answer. He just watches. He just waits. He is the shadow that follows me everywhere. He is the darkness that will never leave. The prisoner is the one I am now. He is tired, broken, lost. He wants to make peace with the others, but he cannot. They are too different, too separate. They are not him. They are ghosts, fragments of a life that no longer exists, and he is alone. I talk to the prisoner. I tell him that he is not alone, that I am here, that we are here, that we will get through this together. He doesn't believe me. He can't. He has been alone too long. But I keep talking. I keep reaching out. I keep hoping. I have learned that the dialogue is not a sign of madness. It is a sign of growth. It is a way of integrating the different parts of myself, a way of becoming whole. I have learned that the child is not gone. He is still there, buried beneath the layers of trauma and rage. He is the part of me that still believes in hope, that still believes in love, that still believes in the possibility of redemption. I hold on to him. I cherish him. He is my anchor in the storm. I have learned that the adolescent is not evil. He is just hurt. He was hurt by the world, and he responded with anger. He never learned to process his pain. He just pushed it down, buried it, let it fester. I try to help him. I try to teach him that there are other ways. That anger is not the only response. That violence is not the only answer. I have learned that the predator is not a separate entity. He is me. He is the part of me that I cannot deny. I have to accept him. I have to integrate him. I have to forgive him. Because he is me and I am him. We are one. I have learned that the prisoner is not broken. He is just tired. He has been fighting for too long. He needs rest. He needs peace. He needs to know that it is okay to let go, that it is okay to stop fighting, that it is okay to just be. I talk to these versions of myself every day. I listen to them. I learn from them. I grow. I am becoming whole. I am becoming the man I was always meant to be. Chapter 12, The Last Day, a Rehearsal. I have rehearsed my last day 1,000 times. I know every detail, every moment, every sensation. I have practiced it so often that it feels like a memory, something that has already happened. The day begins like any other. The light flickers on at 6 a.m. The tray slides through the slot. I eat my oatmeal, my toast, my single cup of coffee. I do my push-ups. I pace my figure 8. But there is a difference. Today I know it is the last. The guards come for me at noon. Heavy Bob and the Jester. They are professional, efficient. They don't look at me. They don't speak. They put me in restraints and lead me down the corridor. The walk is long, the floor cold beneath my bare feet. I count the steps. 37 to the end of the row, 12 to the door, 6 to the room where they will do it. The room is white, sterile. There is a gurney in the center, like something from a hospital. They strap me down. The straps are tight but not uncomfortable. I have been strapped down before, in the chair, in the cell, in the van that brought me here. I am used to it. The doctor comes. He is a thin man with glasses and a nervous smile. He inserts the IV. I feel the cold metal against my skin, the sharp pinch of the needle. I have been injected before. It is nothing new, but this time I know what is coming. The first drug, the sedative. The second, the paralytic. The third, the final one. The one that stops my heart. I close my eyes. I am not afraid. I am ready. I think about the palace. I walk through the garden, the library, the mountain peak. I say goodbye to each room. I say goodbye to the voices in my head. I say goodbye to myself. I think about my mother. I think about the field of wheat. I think about the faces of the children I killed. I think about the apology I never wrote. I think about the man I was and the man I have become. I think about the light, the golden light, the warmth, the peace. I know it is waiting for me. I know it is on the other side of the door. I am ready. I am so ready. The first drug comes. I feel the warmth spreading through my veins. My muscles relax. My mind grows soft, unfocused. The edges of my vision blur. The voices in my head grow quiet. The second drug comes, the paralytic. I cannot move. I cannot speak. I can only think. I think about the palace. I think about the garden, the library, the memorial. I think about the candles flickering in the darkness. I think about the faces of the victims, looking at me with eyes that hold no anger, no hatred, no fear, just sadness, a deep aching sadness that fills the space between us. I think about the mother, her hand on my chest, her voice, soft and forgiving. We forgive you. I think about the children, their small hands in mine, their smiles, their laughter, the light that filled everything. The third drug comes. I feel it enter my veins like cold water, spreading through my body with a terrible gentleness. My heart stutters. Once, twice. Then it stops. I am still here. That is the first thing I notice. I am still thinking. I am still aware. My heart has stopped. My lungs have ceased their rhythm. But my mind continues. It races. It skitters across the surface of my consciousness like a water strider on a pond, and I realize with a shock that the drug has not killed me. It has merely released me. The body is dead. The mind is not. I am floating. I am above the gurney, looking down at the pale, slack face of the man who used to be me. He looks peaceful, almost serene. The doctor is checking his pulse, shaking his head. The guards are watching, their faces blank. The witnesses are weeping, some with relief, others with grief. And I am above it all, a ghost in my own execution. I rise through the ceiling, through the roof, through the sky. The prison is below me, a gray box in a gray landscape. The city beyond, the highways and houses and lives going on without me. The ocean, the mountains, the curve of the earth. And still I rise. I am not afraid. That is the strangest part. I have spent my entire life afraid. Afraid of failure, afraid of rejection, afraid of the darkness inside me. I have spent years in this cell, afraid of the needle, afraid of the end. But now that the end has come, there is nothing to fear. It is just a door. A simple wooden door like the one I imagined in my palace, and I am walking through it. On the other side, there is light. I wake up. I am back in my cell. The fluorescent light is flickering above me. The drip of the sink is echoing in the silence. My heart is beating. My lungs are breathing. I am alive. It was a dream, a vision. a hallucination born of years of isolation and despair. But it felt real, more real than anything I have ever known. And I am changed. I sit up on my cot. I look at my hands. The scar on my knuckle is still there, the calluses, the lines, the map of my life. But I see them differently now. They are not the marks of a monster, they are the marks of a man. A man who made terrible choices, who did unspeakable things, but a man nonetheless. And that man is still here, still alive, still capable of change. I don't know what that change looks like. I don't know what it means, but I know I am different. The weight is still there, the guilt, the remorse. But it is lighter now, bearable. I can carry it. I have been given a gift, a glimpse of something beyond, and I will spend the rest of my days trying to understand it, trying to live up to it, trying to become the man I saw in the light. I don't know if I will succeed. I don't know if I can. But I will try. That is all I can do. That is all any of us can do. And so I begin again. A new day, a new life, the same cell, the same silence, the same waiting. But different. I am different. I pick up my pencil and my scrap of paper. I start to write. And the words flow like water, like light, like forgiveness. Part 4. The Face in the Mirror. Chapter 13. The Reflection. The guards installed a mirror in my cell, a small one bolted to the wall beside the sink. I don't know why. Perhaps they want to remind me of what I've become. Perhaps they think I need to see myself, to face the truth of my own face. Perhaps they are just cruel. It doesn't matter. The mirror is there and I cannot avoid it. I avoided it at first. I turned away whenever I passed it. I didn't want to see the hollow eyes, the gaunt cheeks, the graying hair. I didn't want to see the monster I had become. But after a while, curiosity got the better of me. I looked. The face that stared back was not the face I remembered. It was older, thinner, more lined. The eyes were deep and dark, with circles beneath them, like bruises. The hair was thin and patchy, the skin pale and sallow. It was the face of a man who had been buried alive and had only just started to dig his way out. But there was something else, something I had not expected. A softness around the eyes, a gentleness in the set of the mouth. The face of a man who had suffered, yes, but who had also grown. A man who had been broken and had put himself back together, piece by piece, in a different shape. I stared at that face for a long time. I tried to see the man I had been, the predator, the monster. But he was gone. In his place was a stranger, a man I was only beginning to know. I started to talk to the mirror, not to the face, but to the man behind it. I asked him questions. Who are you? What do you want? What are you afraid of? The answers came slowly, haltingly, like a language I was learning for the first time. I am a man who has done terrible things. I am a man who is trying to be better. I want peace. I am afraid of failing. And then I asked the hardest question, the one I had been avoiding for years. Are you a monster? The face in the mirror did not answer. It just looked back at me, patient and still, and I realized that the question was not one that could be answered. It was one that had to be lived, every day, in every choice, in every thought. Am I a monster? The answer is in my actions. The answer is in my heart. I have learned to look at the mirror without flinching. I have learned to see myself for what I am. A man, flawed, broken, but trying, always trying. I have learned that the mirror does not lie. It shows me the truth, whether I want to see it or not. The truth of my aging face, the truth of my tired eyes, the truth of my guilty soul. I have learned to accept the truth. I have learned to embrace it. I have learned to find peace in it. The face in the mirror is not a monster, it is a man who has done terrible things, A man who is trying to be better, a man who is still alive, still fighting, still hoping. I look at the mirror every day. I look at the face. I say to it, I see you, I know you, I accept you. And the face looks back at me and it says nothing. It just exists. It just is. That is enough. That is more than enough. Chapter 14. The Small Things. I have learned to find beauty in the small things, the things that the world overlooks, the things that make the long days bearable, the light, the way it shifts and changes, casting shadows on the walls. In the morning it is pale and thin, like watered-down milk. In the afternoon it is harsher, brighter, and almost blinding. In the evening it softens to a warm gold, the same gold I saw in the vision. I watch the light, I savor it. I am grateful for it, the food, the oatmeal, the toast, the coffee. They are simple, plain, unexciting, but they are sustenance. They keep me alive. I eat them slowly, savoring each bite, tasting the salt, the grain, the bitterness of the coffee. I am grateful for every meal, because it means I am still here, still alive, still human. The air, the way it moves, the way it fills my lungs. Sometimes it is stale, heavy, thick with the smell of sweat and rust. Sometimes it is fresh, cool, carrying the scent of rain from somewhere beyond the walls. I breathe it in. I feel it fill my body. I am alive, I am breathing, and that is enough. The silence, the deep, profound silence that fills the cell. It is not empty, it is full. Full of thought, full of memory, full of hope. I listen to the silence. I let it wash over me. I am still. I am calm. I am at peace. I have learned to appreciate these small things. I have learned to find joy in them. Not the kind of joy that comes from achievement or success, but the quiet joy of being alive, the simple pleasure of being. It is a gift I almost missed. I think about the world outside, the noise, the chaos, the constant motion, people running, rushing, never stopping to breathe. They don't see the small things. They don't appreciate them. They are too busy, too distracted, too full of their own importance. I pity them. I pity their blindness. I have been given a gift of time and silence and solitude, and I am trying to use it well. I am trying to learn, to grow, to become the man I was meant to be. It is not easy, it is never easy, but it is worth it. Every moment, every breath, every small thing. Chapter 15. The Visit, the Final One. She came to see me, the daughter, the one who survived, the girl I had overlooked, the one I had not found. She had been hiding in the closet and I had not seen her. She had lived. I didn't know she was coming. The guards didn't tell me. They just opened the door and led me to the visiting room, and there she was, sitting on the other side of the glass, waiting for me. She was older now, a woman in her 30s, with lines around her eyes and a stillness in her posture. She looked like her mother, the same dark hair, the same soft mouth. But her eyes were different. They were hard, sharp, piercing. They looked at me and saw everything. I sat down. I picked up the phone. She picked up hers. And for a long moment, neither of us spoke. "I don't know why I'm here," she said finally. Her voice was calm, measured. "I've thought about this moment for years. I've imagined what I would say. But now that I'm here—" "You don't have to say anything," I said. "You don't have to be here at all. I understand if you want to leave." She shook her head. "No, I need to see you. I need to look at you and see what you are. I need to know if you're sorry." "I am," I said. "I am sorry. I have been sorry for years. But sorry doesn't change anything. It doesn't bring them back." "I know," she said. "I know that. But I needed to hear it. I needed to see it in your eyes, and I do. I see it. You are not the man I imagined. You are something else. I looked at her. I saw the pain, the grief, the anger. But I also saw something else, something I had not expected. A flicker of understanding, a willingness to listen. I have written you a letter, I said. Hundreds of pages, a confession, an apology. I don't know if you would want to read it. Send it, she said. I will read it. I will read every word, and then I will decide what to do with it. She stood up. She placed her hand against the glass, and I placed mine against hers. We stood there, connected by a pane of glass, separated by a world of pain. Goodbye, she said. Goodbye, I said. And she was gone. I sat there for a long time after she left. I thought about her face, her words, her hand against the glass. I thought about the courage it must have taken for her to come, the strength to face the man who had destroyed her family. I don't know if she will read the letter. I don't know if she will forgive me. But I know that she saw me. She saw the man I have become. And that is enough. It is more than I deserve. Chapter 16. The Memorial. I asked the guards if I could have a memorial, a place to remember the victims. They said no. They said it would be inappropriate. But I built one anyway. In my mind, in the palace. I created a room in the palace, a room of remembrance. It is filled with candles, each one lit for a victim. The father, the mother, the boy, the girl. I sit in that room every night watching the candles flicker. I say their names, I remember their faces. I honor them in the only way I can. I have also started to write about them. Not about the crime, but about their lives, who they were, what they loved, what they dreamed of. I have no way of knowing any of this, of course. I did not know them in life. But I imagine. I create. I give them the dignity they deserve. I write about the father. He was a teacher. He loved history, old books, the smell of rain on dry earth. He had a laugh that filled a room, that made you feel like you were the only person in the world. I write about the mother. She was a musician. She played the piano, and the music was like water, flowing through the house, filling every corner. She had a smile that could break your heart, and she gave it freely to everyone she met. I write about the boy. He was 8 years old. He loved dinosaurs, comic books, the way the stars looked in the sky on a clear night. He had a habit of talking too much, asking too many questions, and his mother would ruffle his hair and tell him he was her little scientist. I write about the girl. She was 5 years old. She loved the color yellow. She collected butterflies, pinning them to a board in her room. She had a laugh that was like sunshine, bright and warm and impossible to resist. I write these words and I weep. I weep for the lives I took, the futures I destroyed, the laughter that was silenced. I cannot bring them back, and I cannot undo what I did. But I can remember them. I can honor them. I can carry them with me in the palace, in my heart. The memorial is my atonement. It is the only one I have. Part 5, The Door. Chapter 17, The Final Appeal. It came today, the decision, the final appeal. My lawyer called to tell me. I don't know why I answered. I don't know why I hoped. The appeal was denied, all of them. There are no more chances. The date has been set. 30 days from now I will walk into that white room. I will lie down on that gurney. And I will die. I should be afraid. I should be angry. I should be fighting, screaming, clawing at the walls. But I am not. I am calm. I am still. I am at peace. I have spent years preparing for this moment. Years of thought, years of reflection, years of trying to make peace with myself and the world. I have done the work. I have faced the darkness. I have found the light. And I am ready. My lawyer asked if I wanted to make another statement. A final statement. Something to be read at the execution. I told him no. I have said everything I need to say. In the letters. In the palace. In the silence of my cell, the guards came to check on me. They looked at me with a mixture of pity and suspicion. They expected me to be emotional, to be distraught. But I was not. I was just tired and ready. Heavy Bob spoke to me. He called me by my first name. He never does that. "Elias," he said, "you okay?" I looked at him. I saw the fear in his eyes, the fear of death, of endings, of the unknown. And I felt a strange tenderness for him. He was just a man trying to do his job, trying to survive. "I'm okay," I said. "I'm at peace. I have been for a long time." He nodded. He didn't understand. How could he? He had never been where I was. He had never seen the light. But that's okay. I don't need him to understand. I just need him to let me be, to let me wait in peace. The date is set, 30 days. I will spend them in the palace. I will visit the garden, the library, the memorial. I will say goodbye to the rooms, to the voices, to the ghosts, and then I will walk through the door, the final door, the door I have been preparing for all these years. I am not afraid. I am ready. Chapter 18. The preparation I am preparing, not for the execution, but for the journey. The journey beyond. I have been reading about death, not the clinical death, the medical death, the spiritual death, the death of the soul. I have read about near-death experiences, about the light at the end of the tunnel, about the feeling of peace that comes at the end. I have read about the afterlife, about reincarnation, about the nature of consciousness. I don't know what I believe. I don't know if I believe anything. But I am open. I am willing. I am ready. I have been meditating every day for hours. I sit in the silence and I breathe. I let my thoughts drift away one by one. I let go of the past. I let go of the future. I let go of everything I am. And I wait for the silence to fill me. I wait for the peace to come. And it comes. It always comes. The stillness, the calm, the sense that everything is as it should be. I am not fighting anymore. I am not struggling. I am just being. I have been writing final letters to the victim's daughter, to the prison staff, to the other prisoners. I tell them what I have learned. I tell them about the palace, the vision, the light. I tell them that there is hope, even in the darkest places. I tell them that death is not an ending, but a beginning. I don't know if they will believe me. I don't know if it will help. But I need to say it. I need to leave something behind, something that matters. The guards have been kinder. They bring me better food, extra books. They talk to me in quiet voices, as if I am already dead. They don't want me to be afraid. They want me to be at peace. And I am. The days are passing quickly now. Each one feels like a gift, a final gift. I savor them. I savor every moment. I think about the vision, the mother's hand, the children's smiles, the golden light. I know that is what awaits me. I know that is what is on the other side of the door. And I am ready. Chapter 19. The Last Night. It is the last night. Tomorrow I will die. I am in my cell. The light is dim. The silence is deep. I can hear my heart beating, slow and steady. It is the countdown. I have heard it for years. Tomorrow it will stop. I am not afraid. I have thought about this moment for so long that it feels familiar. It feels like a dream I have already had. I know what is coming. I have prepared for it. I am ready. I think about my life, the good and the bad, the choices I made and the ones I didn't. I think about the people I loved and the people I hurt. I think about the man I was and the man I have become. I don't know if I will be forgiven. I don't know if I deserve to be. But I know that I have tried. I have tried to be better. I have tried to make peace. I have tried to find meaning in the madness. I think about the victims. I say their names. I light their candles in the palace. I tell them I am sorry. I tell them I hope they are at peace. I tell them I will see them soon. I think about my mother. I wish she were here. I wish I could tell her I am not afraid. I wish I could tell her I love her. I have never said those words to her. I was too proud, too angry, too lost. But I love her. I have always loved her, and I am sorry I never said it. I think about the daughter, the one who survived. I hope she reads my letter. I hope she finds some peace in it. I hope she knows that I am sorry. I hope she knows that I have changed. I think about the guards, Heavy Bob, Light-Footed Maria, the jester. They have been my only human contact for years. They have been kind to me in their way. I am grateful to them. I hope they find peace too. I think about the other prisoners, the ones I have never met, the ones who are waiting just like me. I hope they find the strength to survive. I hope they find the light. I think about the palace, the garden, the library, the memorial. I walk through it one last time. I say goodbye to the rooms. I say goodbye to the voices. I say goodbye to myself. The light flickers. The drip continues. The world outside is quiet, and I am here in the silence, waiting. I don't sleep. I don't want to sleep. I want to be awake. I want to be present. I want to savor every last moment. I think about the door, the simple wooden door, the one I imagined all those years ago. Tomorrow I will walk through it, and on the other side there will be light. I am not afraid. I am ready. I am at peace. Chapter 20. The door, the day has come. I knew it would. It always does. The light flickers on at 6 a.m. The tray slides through the slot. I eat my oatmeal, my toast, my single cup of coffee. I do my push-ups. I pace my figure 8. But there is a difference. Today I know it is the last. The guards come for me at noon. Heavy Bob and the jester. They are gentle, professional. They don't look at me. They don't speak. They put me in restraints and lead me down the corridor. The walk is long, the floor cold beneath my bare feet. I count the steps. 37 to the end of the row, 12 to the door, 6 to the room where they will do it. The room is white, sterile. There is a gurney in the center, like something from a hospital. They strap me down. The straps are tight but not uncomfortable. I have been strapped down before. In the chair, in the cell, in the van that brought me here. I am used to it. The doctor comes. He is a thin man with glasses and a nervous smile. He inserts the IV. I feel the cold metal against my skin, the sharp pinch of the needle. I have been injected before. It is nothing new. But this time I know what is coming. The first drug, the sedative. The second, the paralytic. The third, the final one, the one that stops my heart. I close my eyes. I am not afraid. I am ready. I think about the palace. I walk through the garden, the library, the mountain peak. I say goodbye to each room. I say goodbye to the voices in my head. I say goodbye to myself. I think about my mother. I think about the field of wheat. I think about the faces of the children I killed. I think about the apology I never wrote. I think about the man I was and the man I have become. I think about the daughter, the one who survived. I hope she is at peace. I hope she has found a way to live with the darkness. I think about the light, the golden light, the warmth, the peace. I know it is waiting for me. I know it is on the other side of the door. I am ready. I am so ready. The first drug comes, the sedative. I feel the warmth spreading through my veins. My muscles relax. My mind grows soft, unfocused. The edges of my vision blur. The voices in my head grow quiet. I think about the palace, the garden, the library, the memorial, the candles flickering in the darkness, the faces of the victims looking at me with eyes that hold no anger, no hatred, no fear. Just Sadness. A deep, aching sadness that fills the space between us. I think about the mother, her hand on my chest, on her voice, soft and forgiving. We forgive you. I think about the children, their small hands in mine, their smiles, their laughter, the light that filled everything. The second drug comes, the paralytic. I cannot move, I cannot speak, I can only think. I think about the door, the simple wooden door, the one I have been walking toward for 22 years. It is open now. I can see the light on the other side. I think about the journey, the long, painful journey through the darkness, the years of silence and solitude and thought, the moments of despair and the moments of hope, the visions of the light that kept me going. I think about the man I was, the predator, the monster, the man who did terrible things. He is gone now. He died a long time ago. I am someone else, someone new, someone who has been reborn in the silence. The third drug comes. I feel it enter my veins like cold water, spreading through my body with a terrible gentleness. My heart stutters. Once, twice, then it stops. I am still here. That is the first thing I notice. I am still thinking. I am still aware. My heart has stopped. My lungs have ceased their rhythm. But my mind continues. It races. It skitters across the surface of my consciousness like a water strider on a pond. I realize with a shock that the drug has not killed me. It has merely released me. The body is dead. The mind is not. I am floating. I am above the gurney looking down at the pale, slack face of the man who used to be me. He looks peaceful, almost serene. The doctor is checking his pulse, shaking his head. The guards are watching, their faces blank. The witnesses are weeping, some with relief, others with grief. And I am above it all, a ghost in my own execution. I rise through the ceiling, through the roof, through the sky. The prison is below me, a gray box in a gray landscape. The city beyond, the highways and houses and lives going on without me. The ocean, the mountains, the curve of the earth. And still I rise. The world grows smaller, the people grow smaller, the noise of the world fades away. And I am alone, alone in the vastness of the sky, alone in the silence of the universe. But I am not afraid. I have been alone for 22 years. I am used to it. I rise higher. The sky grows darker, then lighter. The stars appear, then fade. I am moving faster now, faster than I have ever moved. The universe is rushing past me, a blur of light and color and sound. And I am at the center of it all. I am the observer, the witness, the one who sees. And then I see it, the light. It is not a light, it is the light, the source of all light, the origin of all being. It is golden and warm and infinite. It is everything I have ever dreamed of. It is everything I have ever hoped for. It is the door, the simple wooden door painted white with a brass handle. I reach out, I open the door, and I walk through. On the other side there is silence. Not the silence of the cell, not the silence of fear or despair or loneliness. A different kind of silence, a silence that is full, a silence that is peace. I am standing in a field of wheat. The sun is warm on my face, the breeze is soft on my skin. I can smell the earth, the grass, the flowers. I can hear the birds singing in the distance. I am home. I am finally home. And then I see them. They are standing at the edge of the field, waiting for me. The family, the mother, the father, the boy, the girl. They are younger than I remember. Their faces are unlined. Their eyes are bright. They are smiling. I stop. I want to turn and run. I want to hide. I want to disappear. But there is nowhere to go. They are everywhere. They are the field, the sky, the light. They are everything. The mother steps forward. She reaches out her hand. I flinch. I expect her to strike me. I expect her to scream, to curse, to push me away. But she does none of those things. She places her palm against my chest, over the place where my heart used to be. And I feel it, a warmth spreading through me, a warmth that fills the empty spaces, a warmth that heals the wounds, a warmth that tells me I am not alone. She speaks. Her voice is soft, barely a whisper. We forgive you. I shake my head. I want to tell her she shouldn't. I want to tell her I don't deserve it. I want to tell her that I am still the man who killed her family. But the words will not come. All I can do is weep. I weep for the lives I took. I weep for the families I destroyed. I weep for the man I was and the man I have become. I weep for everything. And she holds me. She holds me in her arms. She holds me as if I am her own son. She holds me as if I am worthy of love. The children come forward, the boy and the girl. They take my hands. Their hands are small and soft and warm. They look up at me with those bright, forgiving eyes, and they smile. Don't cry, the girl says. We are not sad. We are not angry. We are at peace. And you can be too. I look at them. I look at their faces. I see the joy in their eyes, the joy that I took from them, the joy that they have found again. How can you forgive me? I ask. How can you possibly forgive me? The boy answers. Because forgiveness is not about you. It is about us. It is about letting go of the pain. It is about finding peace. We have found ours. Now you must find yours. I nod. I don't understand. I will never understand. But I accept it. I accept their forgiveness. I accept their love. I accept the peace they are offering me. The light grows brighter. The field fades. The family fades. I am surrounded by the light, held in its warmth, carried by its love. I am not alone. I am part of something greater, something infinite, something eternal. I think about my mother. I think about the field of wheat. I think about the smile on her face. I think about the love in her eyes. I hope she is here. I hope she is waiting for me. I think about the daughter, the one who survived. I hope she is at peace. I hope she has found a way to live with the darkness. I hope she has found the light. I think about the palace, the garden, the library, the memorial, the candles flickering in the darkness, the faces of the victims, looking at me with eyes that hold no anger, no hatred, no fear. Just love, just peace, just light. I think about the door, the simple wooden door, the one I walked through, the one that led me here. I am home. I am finally home. I open my eyes. I am back in the cell. The fluorescent light is flickering above me. The drip of the sink is echoing in the silence. My heart is beating. My lungs are breathing. I am alive. It was a dream, a vision, a hallucination born of years of isolation and despair. But it felt real, more real than anything I have ever known, and I am changed. I sit up on my cot. I look at my hands. The scar on my knuckle is still there. The calluses, the lines, the map of my life. But I see them differently now. They are not the marks of a monster. They are the marks of a man. A man who made terrible choices, who did unspeakable things, but a man nonetheless. And that man is still here. Still alive, still capable of change. I don't know what that change looks like. I don't know what it means. But I know I am different. The weight is still there, the guilt, the remorse. But it is lighter now. Bearable. I can carry it. I have been given a gift, a glimpse of something beyond. And I will spend the rest of my days trying to understand it, trying to live up to it, trying to become the man I saw in the light. I don't know if I will succeed. I don't know if I can. But I will try. That is all I can do. That is all any of us can do. I pick up my pencil and my scrap of paper. I start to write. and the words flow like water, like light, like forgiveness. Dear family, I have written this letter 1,000 times in my head. I have written it on scraps of paper, on the walls of my cell, in the darkness of my mind. I have written it because I need to say the things I have never been able to say. I need to tell you the truth. I am the man who killed your loved ones. I am the monster who destroyed your family. I am the thing that haunts your dreams and fills your days with grief. I am the worst thing that has ever happened to you, and I am so sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't deserve anything from you. But I need you to know that I have changed. I have spent 22 years in this cell, thinking about what I did. 22 years of silence, of solitude, of thought. 22 years of trying to understand the man I was and the man I have become. I was a monster. I was filled with rage and hatred and pain. I took it out on you, on your loved ones, on everyone around me. I destroyed everything I touched. I was a force of darkness, and I left a trail of destruction in my wake. But I am not that anymore. I have changed. I have learned. I have suffered. I have been shown mercy I did not deserve, and I have been given a chance to be better. I don't ask for your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I am sorry. I am so sorry. I would give anything to undo what I did. I would give my life 1,000 times over to bring back your loved ones. But I cannot. I can only offer my remorse, my regret, my hope for a future that will never come. I have built a memorial in my mind, a room in my palace. It is filled with candles, one for each of your loved ones. I sit in that room every night, and I say their names. I remember their faces. I honor them in the only way I can. I know this doesn't change anything. I know it doesn't bring them back. I know it doesn't ease your pain. But I wanted you to know. I wanted you to know that they are not forgotten. They will never be forgotten. They live on in me, in the guilt I carry, in the remorse I feel, in the hope I have found. I am going to die soon. The date has been set. I will walk into that room, lie down on that gurney, and I will pay for my crimes with my life. I am not afraid. I have made peace with my death. I have made peace with myself. But I have not made peace with you. I don't know if I ever will. I don't know if I can. But I want you to know that I am sorry. I am so sorry for everything I have done to you. I am sorry for the pain I have caused. I am sorry for the lives I have taken. I am sorry for the years of grief I have given you. I hope you find peace. I hope you find a way to live with the darkness. I hope you find the light. I am sorry. I am so sorry. I fold the letter. I place it in an envelope. I write the address on the front. And I wait. The guards come. They open the door. They lead me down the corridor. I give them the letter. I ask them to mail it. They nod. They don't promise anything, but they take it. They take it with them. I walk to the room, the white room, the sterile room. The gurney is waiting for me. I lie down on it. The straps are tight. The IV is inserted. The doctor is ready. I close my eyes. I think about the palace. I think about the garden, the library, the memorial. I think about the candles flickering in the darkness. I think about the faces of the victims, looking at me with eyes that hold no anger, no hatred, no fear. Just love, just peace, just light. I think about the door, the simple wooden door. It is open. The light is shining through. I am ready. I am so ready. The first drug comes, the sedative. I feel the warmth spreading through my veins. My muscles relax. My mind grows soft, unfocused. The second drug comes, the paralytic. I cannot move. I cannot speak. The third drug comes, the final one, and I am gone. I am standing in the field of wheat. The sun is warm on my face. The breeze is soft on my skin. I can hear my mother calling me. I can hear the laughter of children. I can see the light, the golden light. It is everywhere. It is everything. I start to walk. I walk toward the light. I walk toward my mother. I walk toward the family. I walk toward forgiveness. I walk toward peace. I am not afraid. I am not sad. I am not guilty. I am just walking, walking into the light. And then I am there. I am home. I am finally home.